What's up guys, Sean here. Today I'm going to be doing the full review of the SPK Sasquatch. This is the REX121 version, and this is an awesome little knife. Comes with a very nice Kydex sheath, very secure. You have a beautiful belt sand finish here. SPK stands for Stein Grabber Performance Knives. These are handmade by Alex Stein Grabber. Now I have to say, I don't have a whole lot of experience carrying fixed blades or using fixed blades. I'm much more of a folder type of guy, but I definitely was interested in, seeing what all the hype was about with these. So I reached out to the guys over at the Millie Club, and within minutes, I had tons of responses of people willing to send their knives to me to check out and review. So this is the one that I ended up receiving to check out. This was sent by Jason Beatty. He is one of the founders of the Millie Club, which I love so much. So big thank you to Jason. As I said in the initial impressions, this knife is extremely comfortable in hand. It's quite small. You have maybe 2 inches of cutting edge right here, which is plenty for most EDC tasks. Typically I like around, at least 3 inches of cutting edge, but I mean, this is a really cool design, and it's not a folder, so your options are a little limited when it comes to keeping good ergonomics and good carryability also, because in order to add more cutting edge to this, you would have a much larger knife hanging off your belt, or however you decide you'd like to carry it. Having it attached on my belt, kind of around my hip, was what I kind of liked the best. It's pretty much unnoticeable for the most part, unless you go to sit down. Then you feel it and realize it's there. But other than that, it's pretty comfortable. Reaching to grab it and deploy it out of the sheath was not as easy as I would have liked it to be, but you kind of have to give and take with this, because you definitely want good sheath retention. That's going to be very important, because you don't want to be losing this, and more importantly, you don't want anybody getting injured or this getting left behind somewhere where you might not want somebody getting a hold of it. For example, I have 2 children, and this is definitely not something I would want falling out in the couch or anything like that where my children could get a hold of it. So I definitely appreciate the strong retention in the holster or the sheath. Now this knife is not mine. It is, sent in to me for review. So I was not able to cut and really test it to the extent that I would be able to do if it was one of my own personal knives. However, the cutting that I was able to do went fairly smooth. I cannot honestly tell you that I was extremely impressed with the cutting performance of this, but it definitely was not disappointing either. I would say, as far as cutting goes, it was pretty average. Now, this blade is in REX121, which is a very, very high performing and very rare, hard to find steel. So I'm sure this knife has the potential to outcut a lot of other steels. Alright guys, so we did some cutting. Let's see how this edge is holding up. Right here I have some newspaper, which is difficult to cut if your knife is not sharp. Now, I gotta give a little disclaimer that this knife was not as sharp as it possibly could be when I received it. And because this knife is not mine and the owner does not want me sharpening it, I'm testing this out with the edge that it already had, which, as I said before, it's not, I mean, it's sharp. It's sharp enough to shave, but it's not as sharp as it possibly could be. So, yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with how it's cutting this newspaper, even though it's not blowing through it perfectly. I honestly thought that it was gonna have a lot more trouble just because of kind of how it was performing, you know, cutting everything else. I don't know if it has to do with the geometry on this one or if it's due to the edge. If this was my knife, I would probably drop that angle back a little bit. I'm not sure what it's at. It's probably at like 20 degrees per side right now. Maybe it's 18 or 19. If this was mine, I would drop it down to 17 and go from there. Now, this steel is a little bit chippy because it is so hard. It's between 70 and 71 Rockwell. So, yeah, you have edge retention on this is above maximum. However, the brittleness is also more brittle than maximum. So it is prone to chipping your edge and possibly even breaking the blade if you don't use this properly. If you're not doing any really hardcore cutting, you know, any really hard materials, you should be all right, and this should keep an edge. And with the right edge on this, I think that it should probably cut really good and stay sharp for a really long time. One thing that I didn't really like about it, due to the cutting edge length, I'm used to knives that are about, you know, at least 3 inches of cutting edge, usually a little bit more. And I kept on running into the sharpening choil right here. I'm running into the plunge grind. And if you try to cut with your blade tang, that's not gonna, you know, work out very well. So I got hung up a lot of times. Typically, I'm not really a fan of sharpening choils. I usually just sharpen my knives all the way back to the plunge grind. And, well, this one is just before it. But since I have that little extra bit of cutting edge, I'm used to cutting in this area right here. And when I try to do that with this, as you can see, I run into the plunge grind and the sharpening choil. So I had a little bit of difficulties with that. The ergonomics were fine. It still feels really good in hand. However, I did feel like I was struggling to get the right leverage in certain situations. Now, depending on the edge that you have on this and the degree of your bevel and the level of sharpness that you have it sharpened to, you may not need that extra leverage to get through whatever you're cutting. But I can only speak on, you know, this knife and the configuration and specific state that it currently is in. So, still a really cool knife. Not Definitely not blown away by the performance on this guy like I kind of expected to be and was hoping to be, but still a great knife nonetheless. Just for a reference, I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like when a really sharp edge cuts through newspaper. Alright guys, so I have my digital calipers here and I'm gonna check what the thickness is behind the edge on this guy. So turn these bad boys on, make sure it's closed all the way. And zero them, and it is on inches. Alright guys, so looks like we have 22 thousandths. If I come down a little bit, right about 20 thou. Let's check the tip. 20 thou. We have 15 thou at the heel, right before the plunge grind. So that's interesting. Let's see what the blade stock thickness is. 138 thou. And we have 118 thou up here. Yeah, but the thick part, 138 thousandths. Not bad. Typically, I'm pretty sure these would be a little bit thinner behind the edge. However, with this steel being REX121 and being quite brittle, I think he probably did a little bit thicker of a grind to help give this knife some extra strength. So there we have it. And oh yeah, we might as well check out the thickness back here while we have these out. So 0.67 inches, a little bit over a ½ inch thick. And yeah, we'll check it this way. And a little bit over a ½ inch tall, right in there. Obviously back here it gets a little bit thicker. If I had to guess, that's probably about an inch. So there you guys have it. The SPK, which stands for Steingraber Performance Knives Sasquatch, in CPM REX 121. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did. As always, thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.